It's a Wednesday. Merry Christmas in July. That's why I'm dressed like this. I promise I'm not just weird. I mean, I am. But there is a method behind my madness tonight because I need to return this book. Honestly. And who doesn't love Christmas in July? So we're giving ourselves a little gift tonight. There's a Scrooge story in here. So we are going to read that tonight. And then there is a second Christmas story. So we're going to hang out as long as it takes to read both stories and to give each other little gifties tonight. So when you guys are here, say hello. Leave me the little gift of your presence because I want to see who's hanging out tonight. And I love saying hello to you guys. I love being able to interact with you and share our Wednesdays. Sorry, I keep looking off. Something is weird in my room. Something is off. And I can't figure out what it is. But something is off. So yeah, Christmas. What is going on? What is going on? I'm going to put in the comments for people who watch this later so you guys can find it. There is going to be a new crowdfunder going live August 1st, I believe. I'll double check that. It'll be in the comments as well. This one's written in the dark. Yes. So this is the one that Heidi and I are the two lead characters. And one of the perks, which is very cool, is getting to hang out over probably Meet, if not Meet Zoom, during a rehearsal of one of the scenes that Heidi and I are doing together. And I'm not sure which scene. And it may be different for every perk buyer. I don't know what they call them. I'll have to check the crowdfunder lingo. But anywhoozably, so yeah, that is there. We are here, and you guys have just been amazing hanging out with me every week. The hearth is growing leaps and bounds, and I know there is some crossover between our audiences, and I am so excited for that. I would love to put together either a crowdfunder. It may have to be a GoFundMe. I'm not sure about the parameters and restrictions and whatnot for each. I'll have to check that out. Because there's some really exciting stuff coming up, and I would love for the three of us to be able to do these things together. And in order for that to happen, we have to travel. And in order for that to happen, we're going to need a little bit of financial assistance. So the Patreon is available for the hearth. I don't know if I should put together a Patreon for this channel. You guys can tell me in the comments if you would become a patron if we had a Patreon. So I'll leave that up to you guys. Some of you that are here, maybe here right now, have been huge supporters of this channel. And I know I said that already, but I'm going to say it again because it bears repeating. Trail Boss Ministries, huge supporter of the channel. Foxington Manor is a huge supporter of the channel. Those are our main financial backers, but the rest of you that are here every week, you guys are truly the ones keeping this channel going because I find things that I want to share with you guys because we have so much fun. So again, when you get here, please say hello. It is Christmas in July if you have just joined because your YouTube was late reminding you. But yeah, I know this is not a Christmassy drink, but it's red. It's fine, right? So our first story tonight, the one that was really the catalyst for this, is called How Scrooge Saw the Spectral Light, ho ho ho, and went happily back to Humbug. Ooh, oh, said Marley's ghost unconvincingly, rattling his chains. Scrooge peered blearily into the gloom. Was that? He said, pulling the bedclothes around him. Ooh, Ebenezer Scrooge, it is I, Marley, your old friend and business partner, what accidentally fell off the top of a 12-story building, said the ghost. It was hung with spectral chains, and shackled to one ghostly ankle was an ancient, luminous IBM 1456 adding machine. Marley went on. Anyways, what I mean is, I've been sent to show you the error of your ways. Cool, this isn't a bad place at all, Ebenezer. You done all right for yourself. Scrooge had switched on the light. His bedroom walls were hung with very expensive silk, and the bed cover was made of ermine. Instead of the traditional nightshirt and cap with a bauble on it, Scrooge was wearing James Bond kung fu pajamas. Oh, so it's you, my old business colleague Marley. What fell off the top of a 12-story building before I could stop him, said Scrooge. How's things in the ghost biz? Marley looked a bit surprised. Oh, you know, not so good, not so bad. Scrooge slipped out of his bed into a gold-embroidered dressing gown. Look here, old chap, what's this all about? This is the second time you've come a-haunting me. Remember? Clank, clank you went. I don't mind telling you, you made a big impression on me. Clank, clank. A big impression. Better man for it and all that. Mr. Dickens made a big point about it all. Yes, but, began Marley's ghost. I used to hate Christmas, said Scrooge, opening a cocktail cabinet. Whiskey or don't you touch spirits? Anyway, all that's behind me. Oh, yes, you made me see the error of my ways. I give up, muttered the ghost, and gave a shrill whistle. There was a pop, and a second spirit manifested in the middle of the room. It had short, curly hair, a big smile, carried a shimmering book in one hand, and appeared to be speaking into a microphone. Ah! Shrieked Scrooge. It's the Amino Fizzy! Yes, Ebenezer, crooned the spirit. Do you remember this voice? Begorra. Yes, that is your voice, mumbled Scrooge, unimpressed. I meant this voice, snapped O'Tizzy. God bless us, every one, said a tiny little voice. Scrooge gasped theatrically. It is! It isn't. Gosh, it is! He cried. It's Tiny Tim! Begot. Yes, Scrooge, and now we go back. And as if on a ghostly telly, Scrooge saw the scene in the Cratchit household, with all the family sitting happily round the table. Yes, that's the Cratchit family all sitting happily around their household table after I mended my ways and became a better person and decided to like Christmas. And then you bought up cracker companies and turkey farms and paper chain foundries and polystyrene snowman factories. That's right. And spray-on snow shops and a balloon factory and a factory that made plastic Father Christmases for nasty little cakes with pink icing, said Scrooge. And I merged them all together until I had one big Christmas company. Uniscrooge. Then O'Fizzy disappeared, but there was a fountain of colored lights, and a second horrible vision bounced in. It was terrible. Scrooge clutched at the curtains. It's, he gibbered, staring at the huge chin that leered over him. You all right, dear? Said the Bruce, forsooth. I'm here to take up the story as of now. All right? Scrooge saw a vision of shops filled with Uniscrooge products. There were hard little lumps of soap and reams of Christmas wrapping that must have been very valuable, since it set the price of soap up 1,000%. There were huge hot stores filled with swearing dads, screaming kids, and normally nice mums shouting, "Just you wait till I get you home and I won't have give you what for." There were boxes of 2p crackers and 45p at 45p a cracker, each one with a genuine lump of plastic in it. There were dry cigars and cheery corkscrews and people getting drunk at parties and driving cars into one another. There were telly programs like 1,000 old clips of Walt Disney films you've already seen 10 times. The vision fogged for a moment and then showed the very fat and fed up Pratchett family lying groaning around their 27-inch color TV. They didn't seem all that happy. On the screen, a bunch of blasphemous atheists in paper hats were trying to whip up some sort of enthusiasm for the Christmas spirit in a studio full of cold lights. Remember the old days, Mrs. C? Said Bob Cratchit. We enjoyed ourselves then. Just about had a belly full of Christmas this year. Never again. The vision, and Bruce forsooth disappeared, only to be replaced by a truly terrible thing with rolling eyes and a twisted grin that had Scrooge shrieking with terror. No, not the hugy grin, he screamed. Thank you, friends, said the apparition. And let's have a big hand for the Bruce forsooth there. Didn't he do well? And now, friends, this is what Christmas future has in store. There was a brief vision of darkened shops and gloomy streets before the scene faded out because of embarrassment. What happened? Asked Scrooge. Everyone said never again, said the hugy grin. No more Christmas? Mumbled Scrooge. They didn't see the point, said the hugy grin. You can't have too much of a good thing. Scrooge woke up the next morning and immediately went to the window. He looked at the jolly streetlights and the shopkeepers had put up to save themselves from having to be polite to the customers. He also saw a tough-looking little boy. He'd sell all his Christmas factories. He'd sell his television studios. He'd go back to being a miser, which was at least healthy. That would have to wait. But he could make a start in a small way right now. Hey, he shouted to the boy. Here's a $5. There's another one waiting for you if you go around to the Cratchits and kick their telly in. Then he shut the window. Humbug, he thought cheerfully. Humbug. Huh. I was not expecting that to be that way, but okay. That's a good one. So, what'd you guys think? I can't tell. Oh, I can't tell if anybody's here using this software. I can't see, like, when I was just going into YouTube, it would show me how many people were hanging out, but I can't tell here. So, please definitely say hi if you are here. So we have one more story tonight. And it's another Christmas story. Oh, it's super short. Oh. Okay. We have 3. We have maybe 4. Yeah, these are all really little shorty ones. So we'll do 4 stories tonight. Because why not? It's Christmas. And I'm wearing the Mrs. Claus outfit, so I get to hand out gifts. So we're doing 4. The next one is called Wanted, a fat, jolly man with a red woolly hat. I've quit, said Father Christmas. He flicked his red cap onto the hook behind the door and nudged the cat out of his armchair. Mrs. Christmas stood in the kitchen doorway, furiously beating a Yorkshire pudding mixture. Oh, yes, she said sharply. What brought this on, may I ask? I was checking the presents list and I thought, blow this for a lark. I've been doing this for 500 years, and what have I got to show for it? No prospects, no pension. Ho, ho, ho. I thought, time for a change. He picked up a newspaper. A moment later, it was whipped out of his hands. You're going to get another job, said Mrs. Christmas firmly. Yes, dear, but I thought a few weeks' holiday. With reindeer fodder the price it is? Mrs. Christmas lugged him onto his feet, jammed his hat on his white curls, and pushed him smartly towards the door. Off you go, fellow me lad. No work, no dinner. If you think I'm having you lounging around at home all day, you can think again. So, Father Christmas wandered miserably down to the job shop, where a keen young man was very surprised to be confronted with a rosy-cheeked, white-bearded fat man who described himself on the forum as freelance toy maker and long-distance delivery man. I think the ice cream man is going down the street. Sorry, distracted. Just for a moment. My apologies. I was trying to figure out why everybody was getting excited, and I think the ice cream man is around. I can't say blame him. Anyway, back to him. Long distance delivery man. Still, he did his best. If it's a job with good prospects you want, you could try working in a bank, he said uncertainly. There's a vacancy at the one down the road. Jolly good, said Father Christmas. Next day, Father Christmas was sitting in the same seat and looking a bit sheepish as the keen young man listened to the bank manager on the telephone. The bank manager was not very happy. A raving lunatic, he shouted. He gave away 4,765 pounds and 15 pence before we realized what was happening. He even gave away the pens and blowers. Ho, 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 indeed. And you should have seen the clothes he wore. A few minutes later, the keen young man put the receiver down. Well, that wasn't such a great success, was it? I mean, the Chancellor of the Exchequer isn't going to have to worry about his job, is he? Said sternly. It's in my nature, I suppose, murmured Father Christmas. The young man was really quite kind-hearted, and so he flicked through the job file again. Have you had experience of heavy goods vehicles? He asked. Father Christmas considered. His sleigh had been quite heavy when all the toys were packed on it. He could hardly push it out of the garage. Yes, he decided. The next day, he was looking very embarrassed again, while the young man tried to calm down the manager of the long-distance lorry firm. Fortunately, the man was on the telephone, but you could hear his voice all around the room. He was that angry. At last, the job shop man put down the telephone. Very good, he said sarcastically. Oh, no. Tell me, How did you manage to park a 16-wheel, 30-ton lorry on the roof of a 3-story house? Isn't that normal? Asked Father Christmas. I always park on the roof. He looked so hurt that the keen young man relented. Look, he said, it'd help matters a lot if you wore something a bit more respectable. What's wrong with red breeches with furry turnips and a pointed hat with a woolly bauble? Demanded Father Christmas. It's never caused any complaints in the past. All right. All right. We'll try once more. There's a Christmas vacancy at the local toy factory. I shouldn't think you could mess that up. Well, we've seen the pattern, so let me take a drink before we see how Father Christmas loses that job too. Are you guys having fun? Are you feeling merry? I hope so. I would like you to be merry every day. That's unrealistic, but it is a wish I would have for you, that you get to be merry every day, or at least have merry moments every day. Well, you messed that up, said the keen young man, who didn't look quite so keen now, as he apologized to the toy factory manager and put down the phone. I didn't like making toy soldiers and machine guns, said Father Christmas. Unpleasant things. Yes, but wooden Noah's arks and teddy bears, said the young man. What sort of things are they going to give to kids? I'm sorry, Mr. Christmas, but you are what we in the trade call unemployable. I can't think of anything suitable for you. Father Christmas was just leaving when the telephone rang. The job shop man picked it up and listened. Oh, yes? He said. Go on. Fat, you say. Jolly? I see. Ability to say ho, 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 an advantage. Well, I'll certainly see what I can do for you. In fact, I think I might have the very man. Mr. Christmas, he said, putting down the telephone, how would you like to work in a department store? Father Christmas arrived home whistling and looking very jolly. How did the new job go? Asked Mrs. Christmas. Very well indeed, he said. It's dead easy. I have to sit in this sort of fairy grotto affair, and a queue of children come and tell me what they want for Christmas. Don't quite know why. I hope no one complained about your nice red suit it took me so long to make, said Mrs. Christmas. No, it's funny, but I got the impression the manager was very pleased with it, said Father Christmas. He gave me a bonus because of it, and I get a free lunch and 2 tea breaks. They all know my name, too. Hello, Father Christmas, they say. Mind you, I can't help wondering what it's all in aid of. Mrs. Christmas plonked a plate down in front of him and kissed his white curls. They obviously just like you, she said. And that was cute. Yeah, I can't imagine Santa, Father Christmas, doing any other job. Did you guys like that one? That was a little shorter. But again, if you are just joining us, please say hello in the chat so that I can say hello back. Merry Christmas in July. If you are just joining us, that is why we're doing this tonight. That's why we are reading stories about Father Christmas. We have a cat on the lap. You saw a tail going back and forth. That is Leonard. I left the studio / bedroom door open, and he has taken up residence on my lap. And Do you guys remember? I think we probably talked about this at the December Christmas time. But do you guys remember the Garfield Christmas? How does John's grandma say it? Can't think of anything finer than rocking in my chair with a cat in my lap. Something like that. It's so sweet, but yeah, I just thought about that. Dressed as Mrs. Claus with a cat in my lap. It's a good day. So we got two more short ones to share with you guys tonight. Our next one is called A Partridge in a Post Box. On Christmas Day, a large and oddly shaped parcel arrived in the tiny post office of Collip St. Pancras. Albert Button, the postman, took one look at it and said, "I can't deliver that. It's much too big. Anyway, what is it?" "You're not going to believe this," said the postmaster, "but it's a partridge in a pear tree." And sure enough, from inside the brown paper and sticky tape came a rustling and a grumbling noise, such as a small angry bird might make after spending all night in a parcel. So Albert Button put it on the front of his bike and pedaled all the way up to a big house on a hill. And the door was opened by an extremely beautiful young lady who gave him a tip. On Boxing Day, there was a crate full of cooing noises. "Express delivery," said the postmaster. "I understand it's 2 turtle doves." The next day, he peered through the basket work and saw 3 fat little birds wearing berets and drinking red wine. One of them was playing an accordion. Okay, pausing for a moment because the boys are home, so the dogs are going crazy. Be right back. Okay, so 3 French hens. That is adorable. Berets and drinking wine. Come on now. On the 4th day of Christmas, her true love never thought about the poor old postman, panted Albert, wheezing up the hill with a parcel containing 4 heavy calling birds. Next day, of course, there were only 5 golden rings, which the young lady was very pleased with. She smiled at Albert, and he whistled the whole way home. "Hi, Daddy." That's my dad in the chat right now. Trail Boss Ministries. That's my folks. Yeah. He didn't even mind delivering the 6 geese, which on the following morning were laying all over his mailbag. He was more careful with the 7 swans swimming. "They can break a man's arm with a blow of their nose," he said. On the 8th day of Christmas, he said to the 8 maids of milking, "Now, look, ladies, there is no room for all of you on my bike. I'll just have to carry you one at a time, like on the crossbar." And he blushed. By the 9th day, Albert had gotten into the swing of the thing. "Right then, lads," he said to the drummers, who were standing around rather aimlessly with penny stamps stuck all over them. "All together now. Ha 1, ha 2, ha 1, 2, 3, 4. On the 10th day, he rode ahead proudly on his bike, while behind him the 10 pipers played, "Will ye no come back again? Will ye no come back again?" I have to look that up. I don't know if that's a real song. Dad, is that a real song? "Will ye no come back again?" On the 11th day, he waltzed, fox-trotted, and tangoed up the hill with the 11 ladies dancing, in particular a rather fetching lady with black hair who gave him a kiss. Oh no. Oh no! But on the 12th, sorry, I read ahead. But on the 12th day of Christmas, the postmaster said, "That's right, they've got lost." No, you are so cute. I love you. I miss you. I miss you so much. Anyway, they've got lost. Lost? Asked Albert. Lost. How can you lose 12 lords a leaping? They're probably a leaping in a good sighting at Crewe, said the postmaster. British Rail has spent all morning looking. They found all kinds of things, but no lords. They did find a small baron in a letter. Sorry, I'm getting tickled by this story. uh, they did find a small baron in a letterbox near Bath, but I told them it wasn't one of ours, and they put him back. This is terrible, said Albert. She'll be so disappointed. Perhaps she'll think her true love forgot to send them. He leapt on his regulation bicycle and pedaled. I'm so sorry. He leapt onto his regulation bicycle and pedaled madly off toward the head post office in Blackberry, where he and all the other postmen, who had all heard about the strange presents, sifted quickly through the parcels. There was not even one knight, and not so much as the smell of an earl. Albert Button sat down on a pile of letters with his head in his hands. He looked blearily at the other postmen. There were 6. Oh, no! Okay. D! You want to venture a guess? I read ahead a couple sentences. You want to venture a guess? Okay. He looked blearily at the other postmen. There were 6. Add the telephone manager and his engineers, that's 9, he thought. And the head postmaster and his deputy and me makes 12. Gentlemen, he said, standing up, this is a drastic situation. Is there a place around here where we can hire some silk knee breeches and a dozen coronets? On the 12th day of Christmas, the young lady in the house on the hill looked out of her window to see a large trampoline being hauled into position on the front lawn. Right, lads, hissed Albert. Leap for your lives. Up and down they went, spinning in cartwheels and somersaults and figures of 8. Boing, spring, bounce. We're lords, said Albert as he sailed past the window upside down. Make no mistake about it, ain't we, lads? She smiled and waved to them. Oh, on the 13th day of Christmas, she got married to her true love, and the best man, who stood there in his best uniform, his buttons all polished, and the 5 gold rings in his hand, was Albert Button. There was a lord's coronet wedged tightly onto his head. He had to put his cap on over the top of it. But he was smiling. Oh my God, that's so cute! Aww. Aww. Now I'm getting all sentimental. Christmas sentimental. Oh. Oh, that was sweet. Aw, Albert. Oh, I liked that. Okay, anyway, sorry. I just think that's sweet. I hope you guys did too. We have one more. Oh, there's a whole lot of Christmas. But we're probably not going to read all of it tonight. I do want to. There's the new Father Christmas, the Great Blackberry Pie, and how good King Wenceslas went pop for the DJ's Feast of Stephen. Okay, we're just going to read and see what time it is when the stories get done. Because you know what? I like hanging out with you guys. My dad and my mom and my sister are all here, so why not? So we'll We'll keep going with the new Father Christmas. In the manager's office of the big Christmas toy factory at the North Pole, complicated industrial negotiations were just about to break down. No, said Father Christmas. Is that your last word? Said Sean O'Haircut, the head gnome. Yes, said Father Christmas, folding his arms. So Sean O'Haircut. Sean O'Haircut. I'm sorry, guys. I'm choking. We're going to pause for just a second. Do not go anywhere. Please do not go anywhere. Stay right here. Okay, back. Thank you. So Sean O'Haircut blew his shop steward's whistle and went out to the notice board in Father Christmas's huge toy workshop and stuck up the dreaded notice. Owing to the breakdown of talks between management, Father Christmas, and the representations of Gelpa, gnomes, elves, leprechauns, and pixies associated, RNRAASP, red-nosed reindeers and allied sleigh pullers, and UFJS, the Union of Fat Jolly Snowmen, a strike is hereby declared. Signed, Sean O'Haircut, Works Governor. P.S. Strike breakers will jolly well get turned into frogs. Signed, Sean O'Haircut. One by one, the machines stopped. The fairy toy makers downed tools, clocked off at the magic cuckoo clock, and went home. Father Christmas was sitting with his head in his hands when Jack Frost bustled in with a flurry of snowflakes. Oh, dear, he said. We're going to have to cancel Christmas, said Father Christmas. The reindeers say the sleigh's too heavy with all those extra children in the world. The gnomes say they're overworked and underpaid. Oh, dear, oh, dear. It's that Rudolph I blame, said Jack Frost frostily. He's such a red-nosed reindeer, after all. One of Father Christmas's 25 telephones rang. It was the BBC. Then someone else rang up. There was a long conversation which mostly consisted of sighs from Father Christmas. Someone wants me to go on a television show with Sean O'Haircut and a young lady called Raquel Welch, is it? And a lot of other people. He seemed quite a super fellow for a television man, he said to Jack Frost. You sounded as if he was a relative of yours. Soon, the horrible news was all over the world. Christmas would be canceled due to industrial disputes. Christmas decorations were taken down. Television companies had to think of something to put on the television instead of boring old films, and a lot of little children just cried and cried, cried. And on top of it all, the snow that Jack Frost had specially ordered for the season fell and made everywhere look as white as the inside of a ping pong ball. But it was ruined because there were no Christmas robins or fat, jolly snowmen. They were on strike. Father Christmas appeared on the news at 10 and said what with profits and the freeze and everything, he couldn't negotiate. Shawno Haircut went on Panorama and turned Robin Day into a parrot. That rather amused Father Christmas, who was sitting in front of the fire and watching television. I'm getting too old for this lark, he thought. I'm about 400 years past retirement age, after all. I think I'll retire to the Costa Bombay and make way for a younger man. So the next week, the new Father Christmas turned up for the job. He was tall and thin and fairly young, with long hair, rimless glasses, and a necklace of Tibetan goat bells. He wore flared red trousers, and his beard was quite the oddest thing the goblin toy makers had ever seen. He sacked the reindeers because his sleigh was peer-driven. He called everybody man, which really annoyed the elves, and he kept snapping his fingers. He started to modernize and streamline the toy shop, which meant sacking practically everybody and replacing them with machinery because, he said, modern toys are where it's at, man. No one wants your wooden Noah's Arks. This is getting me down, said a snowman called Brown when the works committee met in the canteen. He keeps wanting me to make working anti-ballistic missiles, whatever they are, grumbled an old gnome. I wonder if we just might have done a silly thing, comrades, said Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer. They all looked at Shawno Haircut, who blushed. Oh, all right, he mumbled. I'll go and see the old boy. It wasn't as bad as this one, I'll say that for him. So it was that early on Christmas Eve, Shawno Haircut arrived on a sun-baked beach on the Costa Bombay, where Father Christmas was sunbathing in a pair of red swimming trunks. They had a long chat, and soon they were on a special plane bound for the North Pole. Right, said Father Christmas, walking into the toy shop and rubbing his hands. What's been going on here, then? What's that machine doing? And where are my reindeers? Who is responsible for this? 5 minutes later, there was a terrific row in the manager's office, and the new Father Christmas came flying out. Pretty soon, he finger-snapped his way into quite a good job managing a pop group called Purple Santas. Right, said Father Christmas, putting on his red fur-lined jacket and glancing at the clock. We've only got a few hours. We better get a move on. Yes, sir, chorused the elves. And what with profits and whatnot, I reckon you'll all get a pretty big Christmas bonus, said Father Christmas, who was no fool. And they did. Do you guys want to keep going? I kind of want to read. We'll go back to maybe the Blackberry. But I kind of want to check out this last one just because it has a funny title. And I'm a sucker for a funny title. So, this last one. This is the last one. I'm moving the bookmark. By the way, it's a sticker for Beastie Babies. If you go and buy a Beastie Baby, you can ask Haley to put a sticker in. She may just automatically put stickers in because she's awesome. But you get stickers with her and babies. Beastie Babies. So our last story tonight. How good King Wenceslas went pop for the DJ's Feast of Stephen. Good King Wenceslas looked out on the Feast of Stephen. Behind him, the radio said, Here is the weather forecast. Deep and crisp and even snow is lying round about, especially on the high ground. Tonight's frost will be cruel. There will, of course, be a full moon. Suddenly, a movement caught the good king's eye. Far away among the snowdrifts, a poor man came in sight, carrying what looked like an empty petrol can. King Wenceslas's old heart was touched. Oh, poor wretch, he thought. He must be in a bad way to be out on a night like this. He sent for his page, Albert. Hither, page, and stand by me, said the king. Yonder peasant, who is he? Where and what is his dwelling? Albert squinted at the disappearing figure. Him? That's Jim Sponge, the disc jockey. Have you heard him, sire? Nay, what is a disc jockey? Oh, well, he's on the wireless and sings and reads out recipes. Verily, he must be in a bad way if that is all he can do, lad. Anyway, where and what is his dwelling? He's got a pad up towards the forest fence, sire. The king thought deeply. This is the season of charity and goodwill, he said. Bring me flesh and bring me wine and bring me pine logs hither and my muffler. But Albert soon returned with bad news. All we've got in the castle is a packet of frozen sausages, half a bottle of port-type pinky sort of wine, and 2 Osakosi smokeless lumps, sire. Smokeless lumps? For the trouble was that good King Wenceslas was very short of money. Every year Parliament only gave him £5 and a half-price railway season ticket. Owing to the latest cut, they'd even reduced his birthday salute to 11.5 guns. But he knew his duty. He stiffened his upper lip. Pack them up, my boy. We'll go and bring them Yuletide cheer. 10 minutes later, the king and Albert left the damp and drafty castle and plodded toward the forest fence. The snow came up to the king's waist, and more of it was falling in big white chunks. All that could be seen of Albert was the red bauble on top of his woolly hat. Never mind, said the king. Just think of the warmth and good cheer we are bringing to a humble fellow human being. I'm trying to, sire, said Albert loyally. But it's difficult on account of my feet are frozen all the way up to my neck, sire. If you walk behind me and put your feet in the holes made by my boots, you'll get along easier. By the way, where are we? By now a blizzard was blowing. Albert tried frantically to see through the white curtain. Behind them, the snow quickly filled in their tracks. We're approximately lost, sire. They were. They blundered around a bit. Once or twice the king fell into a snowdrift. Then he stumbled onto a black and white striped pole. Saved, he cried. This, if I mistake it not, is a signpost. Climb up it and tell me what it says. It says, reduced speed now, sire? Well, at least it tells us we are on a road. Yes, sire. Sire? Yes, lad. May I get down now, sire? They trudged on until their chilblains shrieked for mercy. Then, when the good king fell over for the 14th time, the snowdrift, instead of making a noise like scritch, made a noise like scritch. There's something inside, said the king. And there was. Inside the great big snowdrift was a very large car, a Rolls Royce, as a matter of fact. The king rubbed his frozen hands together. I think, Albert, in view of this prevailing conditions and taking all circumstances into account, weighing the facts and putting two and two together, I must order you to proceed around this vehicle and try the door handles. Albert did. The car was open. They very soon dug their way in and sat down on the soft leather seats. It was quite warm inside. I wonder who this belongs to, asked Albert. It's the latest model. I'm sure they won't mind. At least we're snug and warm and have a bit of food, unlike poor Mr. Sponge, said the king. In fact, at that moment, Jim Sponge was just arriving on foot at the local radio station, carrying his petrol can. Oh, what a night to run out of petrol, he told the commissioner. Worse than what's happened, Jim. They've lost the king. Oh, worse than that's happened, Jim. They've lost the king. What had happened was that some radio men had gone along to the castle to record the king's Christmas message, and the king wasn't there. Frantic search parties set out at once. People suddenly realized that without the king, ships would go unlaunched, civic buildings unopened, and the only person they could put on their stamps was the prime minister, who was not very impressive. The king's page told the castle cook that they were going out after a poor man. Apparently, they saw some chap walk past the castle carrying a petrol can, and you know what an old softy the king is, went on the commissioner. Said Jim, looking thoughtful. Very soon afterwards, he was tramping back along the snowy roads with a full petrol can. He dug into the snowdrift that held his rolls, and as he got deeper, heard voices. I spy with my little eye something beginning with S. Seat? Steering wheel. Snow? Switch. No, 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 no. Morning, all, said Jim, opening the door. I thought I'd find you somewhere around here. Move over and I'll drive. Off we jolly well go. As the car purred back toward the town, Jim explained that disc jockeys were not all that poor, and was astonished to hear that good King Wenceslas was very poor indeed. We shall jolly have to do something about this, he said. First of all, he took the pair of them to the poshest restaurant in town, the Sole Bonne Femme, and bought them a slap-up meal and cigars. Then he took them to the prime minister's house. Ooh. If you don't raise the jolly old king's wages, I'll jolly well tell all the housewives about this on the JS prog, he told the wretched man. Then they won't vote for you. Well, we never thought about it, said the prime minister. But now that you mention it, later on, the king was a special guest on Jim Sprong's show and helped him read out the record requests and recipes. The stars were coming out as he and Albert walked back to the castle. He was humming snatches of pop songs. You know, he said, Albert, I think this is going to be a good year. And with that, Christmas in July is coming to an end. Oh no. I know. It's just as sad for me as it is for you. It's probably more sad for me. Anyway, Um, I hope you guys had fun. I don't know if you guys still even have any of your Christmas stuff out. This just hangs with all of my costumes and stuff. So it was easy to get to. Um, but if you needed a little, if you needed a little whimsy in your day, you've now had it. If you know somebody who needs a little whimsy in their day, please share this to them. Like it, share it, subscribe. If you've not subscribed, where you been? Subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. You're not going to get an invoice from me. I promise, because I don't know how to. You're not allowed to do that. You can send gifties. Just saying. I gotta figure out how to set that up too. I don't know how that works. You guys, we're learning. We've been learning as we go, and it's great. But anyway, I am gonna go. I'm not gonna go anywhere. I made breakfast for dinner, and then I got busy, and so I didn't eat it yet. The boys ate, but I put hot chocolate mix in my pancake batter, and then put the little itty bitty tiny chocolate chips in there too. So I'm gonna eat some pancakes, and I'll talk to you guys at the very least next week. But check out the Hallowed Hearth tomorrow night, 9 o'clock on the YouTube. Yeah, it's all over. Just check it out. There's links to everything. I'll see you guys later. Merry Christmas.